So I just received notification that my VIN number has been assigned to me for my Cybertruck, and I went to a group chat and I asked other Cybertruck owners what was their experience after receiving their VIN, and pretty much everybody said that they got their car pretty much like 4 days after they received their VIN. So I'm kind of expecting and hoping that I get my Cybertruck this week. But until then, I kind of want to talk to you guys about what you should know or note about the Cybertruck before taking delivery, or if you're thinking about getting it. Let's get into it. So one of the first things that I really want to talk about is the driving experience. So coming from a gasoline car to a Tesla in general is going to give you a completely different feel, right? But when you get in the Cybertruck has a different feel than any other car I've ever driven. Like, I'm typically not a truck guy and I try to stay away from trucks. I don't like big vehicles. They feel too hefty for me. But the Cybertruck sort of defies like physics. I don't know how to explain it, but when you're driving it, it doesn't feel like this heavy ass truck. Like, it's really light, it handles really well. And when you think about the dynamics that's built and put into the car, as far as just like the four-wheel steering and the steer-by-wire and things like that, you can understand why the car feels like that. But when you're driving it, I don't know how to explain it, man. It just gave me a completely different feel than any other car that I've been in. And I've pretty much been in a Tesla ecosystem for about 3 years, so I'm pretty used to, you know, the whole Tesla ordeal. But getting into the Cybertruck just gave me a completely different feel. Now, I haven't driven the X or the S, so I can't really compare it to those two. But as far as the Model 3 and the Y, the Cybertruck is better in all regards. It has more space, it's faster. The technology is, I feel like it's better in it. I feel like you get more as far as like the back screen, the IU on it. You get more in-depth details of what you can do with your car and within your car on your screen. And I just think overall, one thing you have to know with the Cybertruck, if you're coming from an EV or even if you're coming from a gasoline car, is that you're gonna have to get used to the driving experience. And if you're coming from a gasoline car, you're gonna have to get used to things like regenerative braking and steer-by-wire, and, you know, just getting used to all the cameras around the car and the technology in general. You're gonna have to get used to that stuff. But if you're coming from an EV such as a Tesla or, you know, any other company, you're still gonna have this learning curve, because when I drove it, there was like times where I was like, yo, I'm not used to this, such as no stocks. I'm not used to no stocks. Tonneau cover, whatever it's called for the Cybertruck, it pretty much covers the back of the truck, and the rearview mirror is pretty much useless. And just getting used to that, I think, is going to be one of the hardest things for me. Now, in my Model Y, I drive with the yoke already, so the steering wheel shouldn't be too tough to get used to. And about 15-20 minutes into my test drive, I got used to the Snorkel, whatever it's called, and the steer-by-wire and the handling of the Cybertruck. So the next thing we need to talk about is the size. Now, if you are coming from a truck, it should be similar in size as far as the parking and the handling of it, as far as just being used to being in tight spaces and how to maneuver with a bigger vehicle. But if you're coming from a sedan or SUV, it is going to be tough. So the next thing that we need to talk about with the Cybertruck is the size and the handling. Now, if you're coming from a truck or a big SUV, the handling and parking and things like that will be the same for you as you're already used to handling. It probably will be a better experience because you're coming to a Tesla. But if you're not, and you're coming from a sedan or SUV or just a smaller vehicle in general, getting used to this long, hefty vehicle is gonna take some time. I would say for me, when I was turning in the car, getting used to just the amount of space that the Cybertruck took up, and the parking is just a little bit more difficult just due to the fact that the vehicle is so wide and long. For me, I think that that's gonna be one of the most challenging things for me, because I particularly don't like bigger vehicles. And because I'm getting a Cybertruck, this is a very, very huge vehicle. So with that being said, I think for me, the learning curve is gonna be how to park it, how to maneuver with it, what spots I can't get into, what spots I can get into, and just overall the general lifestyle of having a truck. I think that's one of the things that everybody is gonna have to get used to if you're not used to that in general, right? Because I feel like most people that get Cybertrucks aren't used to having trucks, if that makes sense. So most of us are coming from smaller vehicles, and I think that learning curve in general of how to handle a bigger vehicle, how to park a bigger vehicle, and just how to maneuver with a bigger vehicle is going to be one of the hardest learning curves that we're going to have to deal with. And the last thing that I think you should know about the Cybertruck is simply learning how to be lazy. I think that Tesla babies all of its drivers, and it enables you to get away with a lot of stuff that you couldn't get away with in your regular gasoline car. For example, all of the cameras that's on the car in a Cybertruck, you pretty much can have those on at all times, 24/7. So you really don't need rear view mirrors, side mirrors. Hell, you don't need anything. The cameras pretty much show full 360 of the car at all times. And I feel like that's gonna be a very, very difficult thing to get used to and to learn, just due to the fact of however long you've been driving, you're so used to and equipped to using these tools and things that help you to stay safe and navigate while you're on the road. With the Tesla or with the Cybertruck in general, you don't have to use those. I've seen people take the rear view mirrors off. I've seen people take the side mirrors off. I've seen everything. And the fact that that's even a thing or an option is absolutely crazy to me. But I think it's dope because it just kind of opens the realm to, you know, new innovation and just new ideas and just different, you know, aesthetics and things like that. That's going to be a huge thing to not get used to, I guess. For example, I'll give you guys a story. When I had to go renew my license, the instructor asked me did I want to take my driving test with my Tesla or if I want to take their vehicle. And originally I was like, man, you know, I'm gonna take the Tesla, super easy, super smooth. But when I got to thinking about it, like, I don't do a lot of stuff that I'm supposed to when driving my Tesla as I would if I was driving the typical gasoline car. For example, when I back up, I don't even turn around. I simply stare at my screen and it has everything lined up, has symmetrical lines and great imagery of what's behind me. And I just use that, right? But when I'm going through that test, they want to see you parallel park, put your hand up back here, do that, do this. And I'm already knowing, like, for one, you can't even really see out the back of the car, any Tesla. And for two, I'm just like, I don't do that anymore. So when I thought about that, I knew that I needed to use their car because there's a lot of things that I don't use that I need to use while taking this test if I want my license renewed. So from that story, you can kind of get the premise of how Tesla kind of babies us. Even from a standpoint of turning or getting into different lanes, I think that the technology in a Tesla just really makes our life easier. It's not like it's hindering us. I don't want to say it like that, but it does make things super easy for us, and it makes us lazy to the point where if you are to get into your traditional car, the driving experience is going to be trash because Tesla makes everything so easy. And that's pretty much a few things that I noticed and that I want to kind of tell you guys. If you guys were wondering, you know, how was the driving experience, what's a Cybertruck like, you know, should you get it, things like that, I think you should absolutely get it. I think that there's this notion going around that this truck is bad and that there's problems. I mean, it's a brand new vehicle. There's gonna be problems with it, but I can tell you now, if you go drive it and you tell me you just don't like it, I'll shut up. But I was on the edge, I went and test drove it, and I just pulled the plug. Like, simple as that. I've seen enough, the kids love it, the family love it. You know, I love Tesla. You know, people have the issues with Elon, that's their issue, but the man makes a good car. You can't deny that. The man makes an amazing car. So if you are in a market to get a Cybertruck, those are a few things that you can look forward to or to be expecting. And that's just my experience, and that's what I think. And there will be more Cybertruck content coming very soon. As soon as I get my truck, I'm just waiting. So until next time, I'll see you guys. Peace, love, we out.